Wow. Welcome to Coffee with Serge. I'm Serge.
And I'm Graham, and I'm here to have coffee with Serge. And Serge, what are we looking at here?
The beginnings of a tasting flight.
Okay.
So we have to start with an assumption.
All right.
And the assumption is that every coffee, every bean is unique, and it has to offer a unique experience from heavy tasting notes to lighter tasting notes. So what we're going to do is we have 6 different brew methods prepared. And the assumption here is that every brew method is going to zero in on a particular section of that spectrum of flavors.
Okay, so the same bean, different brew methods.
Yeah.
All right.
You were trying to control like a scientific experiment.
Ooh, coffee science.
Yeah, oh, we're getting very nerdy here. We're going to be weighing everything, and I'm going to be frantically trying to prepare everything to ideally give you an experience where, as a layperson, you can be like, yeah, this actually matters. These brew methods have an impact, a noticeable impact on flavor, on cup, on everything.
Okay.
Otherwise, the whole thing kind of falls apart. Because why else do people do this?
For a baseline, for your knowledge, I suppose, the ways that I interact with coffee, I have a Chemex with paper filters.
Sure.
Which I do when I have time in the mornings.
Sure.
I admit to some mornings resorting to instant if I must. There are some of these I haven't even tried. Like, I've never had an AeroPress. I think I've had a pour over at Hey Happy once,
Sure.
a local coffee shop.
Yeah.
Only very recently have I experienced a coffee siphon. So yeah, I'm fascinated to learn.
Let's go over this at like a very high level, big picture note here.
Please.
So every coffee obviously is different, but they'll have heavier bassy notes. So you think about your cocos, your caramels, and your stuff like that. And the French press is going to be that bottom end. It's going to be all the body. It's really going to bring out those heavier notes. At the top end of the spectrum, we have the Japanese coffee siphon, which if there's anything very light, very tea-like, very fruity, we'll be focusing on that.
Okay.
Now, there's the possibility that the coffee that we select tastes bad on these. And that's fine, and that's not a failing. It's not a failing of any particular brew method. What it shows is that there's a natural pairing between the coffee and the brew method. And if you try something at home and the coffee's bad, maybe your brew method doesn't line up.
Okay.
And the opposite side would be, if you have a brew method that you really, really like, specifically shopping for coffees that you know offer the flavors that you think your brew method brings out.
Right. When I'm making cold brew, as I do in the summers, it's been recommended to me by local roaster people at the coffee shops to look for stuff with more fruity notes.
Yeah.
Because I tend to be mixing the cold brew with milk.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Same sort of idea.
All right, I'm getting it. I'm picking it up.
Yeah, I just have to prove this to you now, that this actually means something.
Great.
All right, so buckle up.
Okay.
So I'm going to do the absolute best I can to, again, control our variables. So the brew methods are going to be similar in terms of ratio. The order is going to be such that they try and, like in a kitchen, have everything ready at about the same time. But I'm going to fail at that. It's impossible.
Okay.
We're going to start with the siphon because it's going to take forever.
For more on the coffee siphon, there's another whole episode about that you can watch. We're not going deep on the siphon today.
Then we're going to do the AeroPress. And the reason for that is there's some dexterity involved. And the only time I've ever seen a coffee-related injury was with an AeroPress.
Oh, fun. Great.
We're going to give it some time and some respect.
Okay.
Then we're going to start the French press because it can sit for 4 minutes while it brews.
Nice.
And then I'm going to try and do all of the sort of pour over adjacent ones at about the same time, or at least back to back to back.
All right. And I notice, I hope this is okay. You have beans here, well, they were beans. You have different grind levels.
Yeah, again, to try and speed the whole process up, we've got the coffee ground ahead of time just so we can weigh and so we can go, I got it ground this morning.
So you got French press, paper filter, metal filter, and cloth filter.
Yeah, we have 6 different coffees, but you can make some approximations.
Okay. So what, obviously paper filter, I can gather what that is.
Yeah.
But sort of the more coarse ones are, French press is more coarse?
This is actually arranged in order of grind setting.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh. So that's coarser to finer?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
There's some weird approximations in there and stuff like that, but it's a good visual.
Okay.
I mean, AeroPress is such a weirdo brew method. It can go all over the place.
Yeah, because the siphon's totally normal. Hey.
Oh, you're a genius.
Okay. I'm trying to put myself in Serge's very particular headspace. Also, it's the maximum. That's about my limit, I think.
And we did that. And as you can see, we've got all the coffees poured in front of their respective brew devices. And you should be able to see some pretty remarkable differences in terms of clarity, in terms of color.
Yeah.
Probably the best ones to look at here would be if you hold up the French press, you'll look at how cloudy it is. Not necessarily just the color,
Yeah.
but just the thickness.
Yeah.
And then this on the complete opposite end is we have the Japanese coffee siphon, and it should be very clean.
So the siphon's still so hot. It was the first thing we brewed, and it's still so hot.
And that was the second.
Yeah, and it's, yeah.
Have a sip of both.
I don't know if this is gonna come across on camera, but this is definitely like, the siphon is dark.
Yes.
But the French press is not as dark in color, but it is, as you say, it's thick, and you can see it. You can see it leaving coffee oils on the side of the glass as I swirl it like a sommelier.
This guy, he's learning.
Yeah.
Taste is the ultimate test here.
All right.
So, same coffee, similar brew methods.
I wouldn't call French press and Japanese coffee siphon similar.
I meant ratio-wise,
Okay.
right? You know, we controlled our variables. We tried to find similar recipes. Different?
Whoa, yeah. That is so startlingly different. Previously I described the coffee siphon as smooth, and it is, but it's actually, the French press is much smoother, but in a way that's just sort of like, not even there. It's just sort of like, yeah.
Next up, we have the AeroPress.
AeroPress.
Very short brew, so similar in terms of brew length. That was 90 seconds. This was a 2-minute brew. We've got the metal filter. If I may.
Yes. Now so this is interesting. It doesn't have the same, this is gonna make me sound like such a dork. This does not have the same depth of flavor that the Japanese siphon does.
Yeah.
I don't find it hard. You were wincing there, but you have a different coffee palate than I do. I don't find it harsh. I find it just sort of like, again, kind of similar to the French press, just sort of there. It's much nicer than the French press, but it's got so much less going on than the siphon.
Cloth filter. This is going to be very hot. This is the last one we brewed.
Yeah, so this is the cloth filter pour over.
Yep.
It smells good. They all smell good. It smells the same. Interesting. I don't know how to describe that comparatively. I like that better than the AeroPress. You're not loving it.
No. These are good faces.
Oh.
None of these are winces. These are all, I'm getting overwhelmed by pleasant experiences.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Wow. That's lovely.
I'm glad we established that.
Oh my God. Love it. This is the paper filter now.
Okay. I love that the bottom half of this brew method is just a giant mason jar.
That's on me.
How is that so different? That's so smooth. That's so preposterously smooth.
That's the cleanliness of the paper filter compared to the cloth filter.
Wow. Yeah, that's almost like there was no sharpness at all. Wow.
That's really nice.
That's really good.
a lot of sweetness at the end. I really like the paper filter.
Yeah.
As you said, very clean. That's the paper starting to pull stuff out. And it had just such a nice clean aftertaste.
It did. So I'm curious now, especially because I have a Chemex with a paper filter in it, and that was a paper filter. So this is a Chemex with a metal filter.
Correct.
With the biggest holes.
So we're gonna get more body, we're gonna get more oils.
I don't like that as much.
That's fair.
Yeah. Interesting. How's that one hitting you? Yeah, I definitely can really taste the oils. What does that mean, Graham? That's
not a pleasant
I was
face.
gonna say that
Yeah.
face. I'm confident enough to call as being not one that you're thrilled with.
A lot came out. And I said at the beginning, there's a chance that we weren't gonna love all of these,
Yeah.
right? That the brew method and the beans might not line up for all of them. And I think we found our first one. It's good. It's definitely this is a drinkable cup of coffee, but when you compare it to everything we had previously, not as good.
I'd probably have that one with milk.
Yeah, fair. And just to finish the lineup, give the French press another taste. I haven't actually tried it yet.
Yeah. This is the most, and I don't mean this in a bad way necessarily, this is the most quintessential coffee kind of flavor of the stuff that we've had today. I think that, this is the one that you're like, yep, sure is a cup of coffee.
It's just so dirty in the aftertaste. And I don't know if it's going to show up, but you'll see when you look at the bottom, there's just going to be mud.
Oh, there's sediment in
There's
that one.
so much sediment, right?
Yeah, I think that these lovely single origin beans have been somewhat let down by the French press.
It's also good, but you lose all that fruitiness, right?
Yeah.
There was so much to offer. It was so interesting up at the top.
Yeah.
And it's not that it got bad. It's just a lot of the flavor that this coffee could offer just got covered up by the body, by the oil, by the heaviness.
Now, if I was compelled by the internet, as I imagine I might be if I don't, to rank these,
Yes.
I would probably go with the V60 paper filter, dive up and over to the siphon, then the pour over cloth filter, then the AeroPress, the metal filter, and the French press.
I definitely agree with you. French press last.
Yeah.
Metal filter last. I'm going to go in reverse order for some
All right.
particular reason.
No, you're building up to your favorite. This is good. This is good.
Fourth place,
Yeah.
cloth filter.
Okay.
Third place, the V60.
Oh, interesting. You're much higher on the AeroPress.
I really enjoyed the AeroPress. I thought it offered a lot with the fruitiness at the end. And then my favorite, and this is actually surprising because it's so much work, was the siphon. I expected the siphon to not really have a lot to offer flavor-wise or body-wise, to be very tea-like. I expected it to be very gentle and just have fruitiness. It had more body than the AeroPress.
It did. And what's interesting, because you were talking about the range, the gradient of brew methods, that there is so much sediment and sludge in the, I don't mean sludge in a bad way, that sounds much more negative than I meant.
No.
There's so much more sediment in the French press, and there's hardly any of anything in the siphon. There's like some tiny little grounds. It's basically clear.
So just to try and restate our
Yeah.
thesis here.
Okay.
Like the whole goal of what we did here is there's the assumption that a coffee has a whole lot to offer. And would you agree that our heaviest and our lightest coffees were vastly different, but still the same coffee? Like, did I achieve something there?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I wouldn't have this coffee in a French press, but I have French press coffees that I very much enjoyed. So this is definitely, if you use a French press as an example, you got to find a coffee that works better with that. You could try different coffees to do that. Maybe something that is lemon blackberry clean, for example, is not what you want out of a French press. But if you're doing like an AeroPress or a paper filter pour over, then maybe this is something that you want. And yeah, it's amazing that these are all, a taste test is hard to,
Convey over video?
to convey over video. But it's amazing that these are all the same beans and they taste so different just by the different methods of brewing them.
All right, I do need to state some stuff for the coffee nerds watching, because they're going to be there. We did have to make some approximations, right? This is not a lab-controlled setting. The amount of time between the brews were a little bit fudged, but we did our best. We did our earnest attempt as we could to give a friend a tasting experience, and I honestly think we nailed it.
I think so too, yeah. I think we did very well. I mean, the siphon's still hot.
I mean, that's fair. When you're holding the glass and you're like, these are still warm.
Yeah.
We didn't fudge things entirely too much.
No. I think we did a very good job. Well, thank you for having me, Serge.
I always want to do this. I want to share the things that I love with my friends.
It's great.
And I think I've succeeded. Thank you so much for watching Coffee with Serge. We'll see you next time.